Hi, everyone. Welcome to episode 76 of the All Dolphins podcast. And the player that we could do this for, as John suggested, could have been James Brown, hardest working man in show business. He was an offensive tackle in the mid-90s who Jimmy Johnson acquired from the New York Jets in a trade. I believe that was the first trade he made after taking over as Dolphins head coach. But we're not going to go
good.
He was a solid starter, nothing great. But instead, I'm going to go. I look out for you, Omar. Whenever I can throw in a unicorn, I'm going to throw in a unicorn. And in this case, it's Brandon Albert. And fun fact, when he first joined the Dolphins, his first season, he wore 71 and then switched to 76 for his final two seasons with the Dolphins, which were 2015, 2016.
Yeah, I really don't like how his career ended or what happened to him after he finished playing. He's had some rough periods that I don't really want to go through, but I'm hoping that everything is turned around for him.
No, he was a good dude. And his time in Miami too, it didn't end very well because he basically his body broke down. And for those who remember, he was a great mentor for the offensive line. And then he started having knee issues, and he started in the playoff game against Pittsburgh in 2016. And he didn't look right, and he had a hard time.
He was playing. I believe he played that season with an injury. I can't remember what it was. I think it was an elbow. I'm guessing because I'm sketchy. I'm getting old, but my memory's not like yours. That's why people say we compliment each other, because I know some semblance of what happened. You'll remember the details. But remember that year they had Laramie Tunsil playing left guard, and they wanted to move him out to left tackle. Traded him to Jacksonville. Believe he balked at the trade or couldn't pass a physical. Can't remember which one it was. And then he was just out there on the streets. So I don't think his career ended how he saw fit. And, since then he's fallen off the face of the map, and I hope he's doing well. I hope he's really doing well.
Yeah, I really enjoyed him. I enjoyed talking to him during his time in Miami. Made the Pro Bowl one of his 3 seasons here.
He's one of, I believe, 6 players that the Dolphins have made the highest paid players at their position.
Of course,
Steve Ross likes to raise the bar.
I know, but the problem is now that you created that, now we have to talk about who are the other ones? Ndamukong Suh, Byron Jones.
No, you got to start with Carlos Dansby, Mike Wallace, Ndamukong Suh, Brandon Albert, Tyreek Hill,
Byron Jones. At the time, was the highest paid cornerback in the NFL when they signed him.
No, not really.
You sure about that?
There was a cornerback out there for Washington. I can't remember his name. Who was still really the highest paid player. But yeah, I don't count Brandon Jones because his was fake money.
Byron Jones. But anyway, I believe I could be wrong. I've been wrong before. I'm going to be wrong again. Preemptive strike there. But I believe Byron Jones also. And then X figures into this as well, that X may have been the highest one, that Byron Jones surpassed him or something like that. We'll have to dig it up. Anyway,
I can't remember the cornerback's name. He does media now. He used to play for Carolina. I know you're going to tell me who it is. He played for Carolina, got the free agent deal from Washington.
Josh Norman?
Who? Josh Norman. Josh Norman was the highest paid cornerback during that exact run. People, nobody ever beat his deal when I did the details of the deal. These deals are fake, a lot of fake money. So X never passed him, and Byron Jones never passed him either. In what was real, not what was reported, what was real.
Okay, but I'm going to find a clip that says Byron Jones, highest paid cornerback in NFL, and I will send it to you.
But come on, that's just media agent-driven mumbo jumbo. Okay. I don't think Byron Jones was ever the highest paid cornerback in the league. Ugh. Okay. Anyway, that was a bad deal from jump. I said it.
It was highly paid, but I think it was a lot better with the Dolphins than a lot of the fans would like to give him credit. I thought it was very solid as a compliment to Xavier.
Solid, not high, not elite play.
No. But it allowed them to play the style of defense they wanted to. So let's move to current day Dolphins. Today is Thursday, September 14th. Got a Thursday night game against a team featuring a team the Dolphins will face later on in the year, the Philadelphia Eagles, who play host to Minnesota Vikings. Great news on the injury report today. Actually, basically about as good as you could get, almost. Teron Armstead practiced again. No red jersey today. Again, limited.
I watched him during the sessions that we were allowed to watch, and he looks athletic still.
Yeah.
He looks like a guy who's not bothered by an ankle, and that's the starting point. The biggest concern to me moving forward is, does he have the wind to play 50 snaps? And as Mike McDaniel said, with what he's battling, would he be compensating for the injury by playing without proper technique? And that could also lead to more injuries. So I don't know what to think. You don't want to definitely put him out there and then you see some limitations and then have to pull it back and put Kendall Lamb in there. But honestly, this team with Teron Armstead, and probably a 70% Teron Armstead, is probably the best version of itself.
Yeah, my best guess is he's going to wind up being listed as questionable on the final injury report. That's my guess. Raheem Mostert was back.
Would you change your mind if he practices tomorrow?
If he's a full practice tomorrow, then I think if you go limited, full, that would it seem to me he's ready to go. If it's limited,
you're like, eh.
I would think he'd be listed as questionable, and then see how he's doing Sunday morning. Raheem Mostert, full participant, and he kind of indicated after practice that it was as much vet rest as it was needed. Normally, they will indicate vet rest along with knee on the injury report. Dolphins didn't do that; it was strictly knee. But he went from DNP to full, so obviously not an issue. Jalen Waddle, just like last week, went from limited to full from Wednesday to Thursday. The rest is the same, so that's nothing but good news. And on the other side, like the Patriots didn't have enough problems on the offensive line. By the way, their status still the same, with two of their starters from their week 1 game dealing with concussions, didn't practice again, including starting left tackle Trent Brown, and then their rookie guard, Sidney So, who actually started last week because their regular starter also was out. So a whole mess of injuries on the offensive line. And then their starting cornerback, Jonathan Jones, showed up on the injury report. I want to say it's an ankle injury and he's limited. And my experience with those, if you go from a full to limited, that more often than not suggests he got hurt in practice. And he couldn't finish the practice. And obviously, that doesn't tell you anything about the severity of the injury, because if he starts a practice and doesn't finish it, it's going to be the same regardless of the severity of the injury. So it could be very minor. It could be serious enough that he doesn't play.
Trent Brown is really the biggest performer for the New England Patriots that I'm watching. He's battling a concussion right now, hasn't practiced for the last 2 days. I think Trent Brown is a monster as an offensive tackle. He's a brick house and a hard man to get around, which is why he's had success in the league for so long. But he's like 6'7", 350 to 60 plus pounds, and moves athletic. If he's not there at left tackle, maybe this is going to be a good opportunity for Bradley Chubb to show you that he's $100 million player. Mm-hmm. The jury is still out. I'm patient. I'm a very patient man, despite what people say about me.
Since when?
I am. I'm a patient man. To this day, I look at Connor Williams every single day and I say, do I want to go up there and ask him about his snapping issues? And I know others have, but it's different when I ask things. And I say, you know what? I'm going to give him another week. I'm a patient man.
There you go. You're proving your patience. There you go.
Yeah.
It wasn't so horrible against the Chargers as snapping. Come on.
I mean, not all of them were on him, but you can't have 3 snapping issues in the game. You just can't. And I don't care who's on. He took responsibility after the game. Well,
we're going to get into this a little bit later, but this team is very big on blame it on me, blame it on me, blame it on me. I mean, props for that from a certain vantage point.
Would you want it the other way?
No, correct. Sometimes it's not realistic. And I bring that up because Vic Fangio was like, blame me for the defense sucking against the Chargers, and this is where I could say, well, Mike McDaniel says it's not about the coaches, it's about the players and executing the game plan. Well, what happened on the defense? No. So now we're blaming the game plan. but again, we digress. But you made a good point about Bradley Chubb, who, how can I put this delicately?
He was invisible. Just say it.
I was about to say he got owned by Rashawn Slater, and maybe the
Rashawn Slater is a very good offensive tackle.
Rashawn Slater is a great offensive tackle, but
I wouldn't say great. I would say very good.
He's an all-pro as a rookie, dude. And then he got hurt last year in the first game. He was an all-pro.
Got to do it more than 1 year for me. Got to do it more than.
Okay, but as a rookie, you can't do more than being all-pro, and he was an all-pro. Okay, so sorry. Okay, sorry.
Am I going to crown him after one season? You get great after one season, then two is great. Then
if that's two is great in 2023, absolutely.
All right, then we should make him great forever. Now you can never.
I didn't say great. I didn't say Rashawn Slater is great forever. I said he's great.
Okay. Well, you want me to give Rashawn Slater a great label for 2021
and the first game here? Oh my Lord. Okay, fine. Rashawn Slater is a capable left tackle. Is that better?
You could say very good. Either you got to remove great from Rashawn Slater, or you got to give great to Tua. Your choice.
I already said Tua was great in week one. So,
okay.
So for 2023, Tua was great. There was nobody who would question. Dude, he's played one game and he kicked ass. I mean, who would question that?
Now he's the Vegas front runner with Patrick Mahomes at plus 600 for MVP.
Correct. And
I'm not betting that right now. I'm waiting for him to take a couple losses. Maybe if that gets over 1,000, I put 100 on it. I mean, Tua would be a great opportunity to make some money if you really believe that he could be an MVP candidate. And I do believe he could be an MVP candidate. Right now, I think the only thing that stands in his way is offensive line health, his health, and really the state of the rest of the AFC East. And probably in a month, maybe Josh Allen goes down. I am predicting a Josh Allen injury. And then this division might be to us.
I'm sorry, I didn't realize he was a team by himself. Okay,
Josh Allen is without a doubt propping up the Buffalo Bills. No question. Without Von Miller, Josh Allen is it.
I agree. But you said the AFC East belongs to Tua. I mean, like I said,
Tua is king. Tua is king in this town here. Tua is king of the Dolphins.
Got it. Josh Allen's too big to get hurt. I mean, not yet. He will when he gets.
Come on, with that style, he's destined to get hurt.
Dude, he's taking shots, and there was one on Monday night. I don't know if you saw that. And there were a lot of Dolphin fans who were like, "Why isn't he getting pulled out of the game for concussion spotting?" And another one like that. Kenny Pickett, also the Steelers, had a play. I don't know why I'm going off on a tangent here, but Kenny Pickett had a play like that, where it looked like his head hit the turf. And he didn't get Teddy Bridgewatered, which basically means pull out of the game by the concussion spotter. And for Dolphin fans who are like all up in arms about this, and why is it only the Dolphins? There's two ways of looking at it. Number one, yeah, you could say it sucks that the Dolphin quarterback was pulled out of the game so quickly. On the other hand, do you not like the fact that the league officials are looking out for your quarterbacks and don't want your quarterbacks to get endangered? I don't know. Are there two ways of looking at this? Okay, let's get back to Vic Fangio. So today was coordinator day, along with QB coach Darrell Bevel and linebackers coach Anthony Campanelli, who spoke. What stuck out to you about Vic Fangio's comments?
I loved some of the things that he said. I'm always going to love his blunt honesty. One of the major issues that he talked about was the fact that, he took ownership for the team's struggles. He took ownership for what they were doing defensively or what they weren't doing defensively, and clearly that's stopping the run. Miami cannot perform that poorly. You can't go from being the fourth team in the NFL in terms of stopping the run to being dead last, giving up 200 plus yards and 3 rushing touchdowns. So Vic Fangio, he fell on the sword. He said, in the 10 days that I had to prepare for the Chargers, I didn't get them properly prepared to stop the run. However, he did brush back at the players' comments that said basically, they're still getting adjusted to the scheme. He called that a convenient narrative. And I don't know if I necessarily agree with him because, and I know he's been the lead defensive coach for 22 years, but this is such a unique scheme. It's such a different scheme than anything this franchise has ever run. It's not going to click overnight. And I know he labeled it as a convenient excuse, but I think it has a convenient narrative. I think it does have some validity to it. I truly do believe it does have some validity to it.
Yeah, but what I would say to that is A, to what extent, and B, I understand that he does some things differently than other defensive coordinators. But ultimately, it's not like you're talking learning Chinese and then learning German. It's more like maybe learning Chinese and learning Mandarin. I mean, something along those lines. So, and it's, again, yeah, sure, it was the first regular season game. It's not like he didn't install the system in the off season and they had all of the off season program, all of training camp, to master it. So
Christian Wilkins didn't have all the training camp to master it.
He didn't have the team periods. He was there but he was there for the installs. He was there. Was he not?
Not in any of the games. That's the first time somebody had hit Christian Wilkins. And I'm not putting it on him. I'm not.
Sounds like you are. Sounds like headline Kelly blames Wilkins for run defense woes. That's what it sounds like to me.
He would be one of the people I blame, but he's not the sole person I blame.
No.
The ends, they didn't contain the linebackers. I put it on everybody except for the secondary. Be honest with you, if you want to take my ownership for blame. But Christian Wilkins is the leader of the defense, so somebody definitely deserves to raise his hand. And he was probably the best run stopping defensive tackle in the NFL last year. 3 tackles walking away from a game that opponent gave 233 rushing yards. Okay, if you would like me to put a blame on him, then sure, I can.
I'm playing, but I did notice, I don't recall, unless I'm severely mistaken, a whole lot of runs to the outside. There was a whole lot through the middle, which doesn't.
Who's in the middle?
Well, correct. It's Christian. It's Zach Sealer, who came up. Raekwon Davis.
I'm gonna start calling him Slim because every day I look at him, he's like disappearing. That guy is so lean right now, so long.
He's a very small 6'7", 325. I
mean, he used to be just a big man. Now he's just a tall man. Not to say that this is impacting his performance or who he is or what he can do, but I'm watching this guy. He's like disappearing by the day. He's like at 2:30. Every day I see him after practice on the bike, and I'm like, bro, you're like at maybe 3:30 now at 6'7".
Yeah.
He looks like a basketball player now. He's trying to get his sexy on.
That's a power forward if I ever saw one. I mean, geez.
Yeah, no. And that's the point I'm making. He doesn't look like a nose tackle anymore. He looks like a power forward.
But to me, he never looked like a nose tackle at 6'7". You don't see 6'7" nose tackles. I mean, and
yeah, no. I mean, yeah.
No, nose tackles to me is like 6'1", 330. That's a nose tackle. Or even maybe 5'11", 330. Like, I remember, like, usually they're small. The one guy who was taller that I remember who fit nose tackle was Keith Traylor. I don't know if you remember him. He was like, he may have been 6'3", 350 or whatever. That's about as tall as they get. Usually they're even smaller than that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's an issue with leverage. And I asked that, like the very first year he was there, I asked one of the assistant coaches how much of a concern is leverage with a guy that tall playing the nose. And he was like, yeah, that's something we have to keep pounding on him.
They don't use him as a traditional nose anymore anyway. So I what I'm interested in is him putting his hands in the passing lane and sort of, I've always viewed him as a head-on center engagement guy. And you could drive the center back into the quarterback and play that deflection game. But, hey.
How often has he done that, though?
No, he hasn't done that, which is, yeah.
That's the thing. And the inside linebackers, if everything's up the middle, the inside linebackers are at play, which brings us to point number 2 with Vic Fangio in addressing the disparity in the snaps between Andrew Van Ginkel and David Long Jr., where to our surprise at least, Van Ginkel got in the 50s and David Long Jr. was at 17. And Fangio explained basically when it comes to the nickel inside linebacker spot opposite Jerome Baker, Van Ginkel just won the job. And I think that was a semi kind of like a whoa moment. I don't know about you, but I was like, oh, whoa.
I mean, my whoa moment came in the game when Van Ginkel was on the field for much of 50 plus snaps. That
No, I got you.
and this is not a Van Ginkel diss because I like Van Ginkel and he's generally around the football a lot. This is just a observation. You signed David Long and he was your second highest and biggest free agent acquisition at $5 million a year to replace Elandon Roberts because Elandon Roberts wasn't good in pass coverage. Right. And here you are. He's and no disrespect to David Long, but he's an inferior run stuffer to Elandon Roberts. But
I mean, many guys are because Roberts is very good as a run defender.
Roberts brought that hammer.
Yeah.
And then so you replace him for pass coverage, and then here you are, Andrew Van Ginkel is your pass coverage guy. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that because Andrew Van Ginkel does a lot of things well. He doesn't do anything phenomenally, but he does a lot of things well and is very assignment specific. What I found very interesting about that and have addressed, and even David Long Jr. has said it, he said that they're looking for more consistency from me. And what has Vic Fangio been saying? We don't see these periods of practices anymore, but Vic Fangio has been saying, I need more consistency from him. And, maybe Durham Smythe's out there eating him up. Durham codename Kittle, is out there eating up David Long. And, found it very interesting that even Frank Smith said, you guys will put more respect, I'm paraphrasing, on Durham Smythe's name if you saw how he practiced. And truthfully speaking, we did see how he practiced for a month, and it wasn't anything overwhelming or impressive. But
they weren't throwing him the ball. I mean, so
true, that's fair.
Yeah.
Well, Tua's showing you that, hey, if Durham Smythe does that every single week, bro, he might be headed to the Pro Bowl, which means he's not going to do it every single week.
No, and for those who were wondering about the quote unquote Kittle drop that Omar put there, I wrote a story about Smythe for alldolphins.com today, examining basically how it came about that he wound up getting every single snap in the game against the Chargers, and how this is where Kittle comes into play. Could he be on his way to becoming another type of Kittle for Mike McDaniel? And I put a something or close to it or something like it. He's not George Kittle. I mean, certainly don't want to put that on anybody's head. But, I mean, we're looking at a guy, he's on the field every single snap, obviously, because he can contribute in every aspect of the game. And it's interesting, of course, he's going up against Mike Gesicki, not going up against him, but he's going to see Mike Gesicki this weekend. And I'm sure Dolphin fans know, I mean, there's like a major bromance there between those two.
They're best buds.
Yeah, they're best buds. So,
and Durham used to live in Gesicki's house, I believe.
Correct, for one off season. And then Smythe talked yesterday. I was expecting a little bit more smack talk from him.
He kept it PG. He didn't want to create any headlines, but that he said they're going to cut off lines of communication this week. And but Frank Smith said something that I found very interesting, which was that I should have probably tweeted out, but that they need an all-purpose tight end. That it's actually it's grown roots on my Twitter stream because people misinterpret.
Because you put my Gesicki gritty.
I mean, I was trying to make a point to my core audience, which is the quote from Frank Smith is, "We need tight ends who have the ability to have a complete skill set." And you know me. What the hell have I complained about Mike Gesicki for the last 5 years?
Trust me, I got it. You saw my reply to you was like, no, it looks like Nice Omar is gone. It was you should have put a hashtag sarcasm before the picture of Mike Gesicki doing the gritty.
Yeah, like I have said that I'm not Mike Gesicki thinks I'm a hater, but like, bro,
probably because you are.
Okay, I hated the selection. Never liked the selection. It should have been the tight end it should have been Dallas Goedert.
Yeah.
It should have been if you're actually good at your job. And
Whoa.
Mike Gesicki, come on, man. Mike Gesicki, all he did is telegraph what you're doing on a particular play. And the Dolphins are making the point, we couldn't use him, couldn't play him. He doesn't help us, not a good fit for us, because he telegraphs what we're doing on a particular play. And Durham Smythe has value because he's not telegraphing what they're doing on a particular play. So, like, and I've been saying that, and people don't realize it. Durham Smythe has always played more snaps than Mike Gesicki. Always.
Yep. Yes.
But, Dolphin fans.
Yeah.
I've always despised that pick because it's a perfect example of a wasted opportunity. Instead of you taking Dallas Goedert and having one player, instead of taking Mike Gesicki and Durham Smythe in the fourth round, come on, man, don't waste resources like that. Then Dallas Goedert goes on and becomes one of the best tight ends in the league. And while Mike Gesicki got the franchise tag, he was never going to not be a limited player. And I despise the fact that they gave him the franchise tag.
But in fairness, they gave him the franchise tag and he signed it before they had the opportunity to trade for Tyreek Hill. Had the Dolphins not been able to land Tyreek Hill, my guess is Mike Gesicki would have played a hell of a lot bigger role in the offense in 2022.
No, never.
I said what I said.
Never.
And Cedric Wilson Jr.
Please, come on, man. Don't do that.
I said,
you're not gonna do that.
I said Listen, what I said.
Cedric Wilson has never been better than River Craycraft. Never.
I understand that.
Okay, say it.
No. He's never been better than Trent Sherfield. Trent Sherfield outplayed him from the start.
So did River Craycraft. He never had a good trade.
Okay, let me make my point. Okay. Everything changed. And yes, I absolutely believe they would have created specific roles for Cedric Wilson Jr. and for Mike Gesicki had they not gotten their hands on Tyreek Hill, which changed everything. But I agree with you, Mike Gesicki is a glorified, oversized slot receiver. And Durham Smythe, from the start, I kept telling everybody I've been on this and written on this, he's a solid dude who's going to be around a while, that the coaches really like him, and they proved it when they gave him the 3-year contract extension in the offseason.
Yes. No. Mike, no.
I said what I said.
Mike McDaniels needs a fast slot receiver. No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
I object.
Okay. Duly noted. Moving on. Another interesting thing Vic Fangio said, which I think all of us in the media room were looking at each other like, didn't he say the opposite at some point? He said basically his secondary is like his offensive line. He's going to go with a group, and that's the group he's staying. Because I seem to recall him saying they're going to use a lot of different guys. Unless I'm going senile here, which is certainly a possibility, but
he might be going senile.
Well, you don't remember him saying that?
Yes, and he changed his mind.
Okay, then he can say that. So I guess that means that for the time being, until something changes, Deshaun Elliott's going to be your safety next to Javon Holland. Eli Apple is going to be your outside cornerback opposite X when they're in nickel, and Kader Kohu is going to be the outside cornerback along with X when they're in the 4 DB set. That was
I think Brandon Jones has the opportunity to shake things up. He's supposedly practicing better, playing better, overcoming the knee issues, getting closer to making a full recovery. He's not there yet. I see him in that Justin Bethel role. They don't call you Blitz Boy for no reason. And in terms of the packages that he could participate in and be included in. Will it be this week? I don't think so, but I definitely see Brandon Jones having some utilization at some point this season. Now, well, based on what we've seen from the safeties, where they had 29 tackles in the season opening game, I'm not sure that they played well, but I'm also not sure that they played poorly because they were so involved and so active.
Yeah, there were a lot of the tackles were in the running game 7 yards down the field. I don't recall any like major breakdowns from the safeties. And
Yeah.
unless I'm mistaken, when Justin Bethel blitzed and helped get the quarterback the sack that sealed the win, they were in dime. He was one of 6 DBs, unless I'm severely mistaken. So that's not necessarily, again, once they get to 6 DBs, yeah, and especially if they're going to call on get that guy to blitz, I could see Brandon Jones overtaking Justin Bethel, who will always have a role because of his special teams value, but then showed you, I think all of us were like, that was a pretty impressive blitz. And I never known Justin Bethel to be a great blitzer. I don't know exactly how often he's been called upon to do it in his career, in his previous stops. I don't remember him blitzing once with the Dolphins before, but I mean, that's some beautiful work. He certainly didn't do anything there to like merit, okay, well, Brandon Jones is going to take your place doing that, because he did about as well. But I'm with you though. Brandon Jones has established enough of a body of work that at some point he's going to contribute. But the rest of the other guys, I like Eli Apple a lot as an outside corner. If they're a nickel, I think he's a very solid dude. And Deshaun Elliott, I didn't see any major breakdown. I didn't see him getting beaten coverage drastically. I'm sure somebody's going to point out something that I missed, and I'm sure it happened, but nothing really jumps out to me.
Absolutely, I second that. I thought he played solid enough in order to carry this over. But I also do believe that this will be a package-based team. We'll probably see a completely different defense. You'll probably see a defense with 3 down defensive linemen against the Patriots, where you're seeing Wilkins, Raekwon, and Sealer on the field, or maybe Agba on the field with their hand in the ground all at the same time. I'm curious to see what the adjustments are for the Patriots. Just the one thing that did surprise me is that even though the Patriots rushed for 70 yards against the Philadelphia Eagles, which have one of the fiercest defenses in the NFL, I was surprised that they were just barely ahead of Miami in rushing last year at, I believe, 106 yards per carry. And that's not like the Patriots. Usually they're an upper echelon rushing team in terms of attempts, production, yards per game. So maybe that's why they signed Ezekiel Elliott. He got the bulk of the carries last week, but I'm dying. This is one of those matchups that I'm dying to see, just because of how Bill Belichick sort of reveals a lot of things about your team. The one thing I've always learned about Bill Belichick is he's going to show you what your team's limitations and weaknesses are, because he's going to attack the Philip Wheelers that you put on the field. What did I say wrong? What did I tell a lie?
Nothing. Next thing, gonna throw out Dallas Thomas, right?
No. I'm good. Okay, he's gonna attack the Dallas Thomas of your offensive line. Whatever. He's gonna take the Jarvis Landry's away in your play calling, so that you're gonna have to beat him with someone else. So I'm so fascinated by what the game plan and approach will be. I'm not even talking about the efficiency or execution of it. I just want to know what are the shortcomings and weaknesses of this team, so that the Dolphins will have to figure out how to compensate and address them.
Yeah, but 2 quick points about the running game, though, because you mentioned last year. You remember last year their offensive coordinator was a special teams coach. So I'm not sure.
Former head coach too.
No, correct, but not a great one. And then as far as last week is concerned, yeah, they were playing the Eagles. They also were down 16-0 like that. So they were playing from behind the entire game, which kind of like
forces your hand to pass.
Correct. So if they get a lead on the Dolphins, I wouldn't be surprised if they start pounding the ball until the Dolphins force them to throw. So it could be a different game plan. And then also remember when they had Brady, there. I remember a couple of games where they just killed the Dolphin defense with screen passes. They would convert. I remember like 3rd and 17 conversion on a screen pass, which would just drive me crazy. But the timing, it was just so good. And so
let me ask you a question. If you're looking at this Dolphins team, and you just gave up a ridiculous amount of yards against the run, wouldn't you want to open it up and throw against the secondary? Wouldn't that be what you view as the weak link of this team? If you were thinking hypothetically,
if I'm Bill O'Brien,
Bill Belichick.
Well, Bill O'Brien's the OC.
I know, but Bill Belichick's the mastermind and the genius, and he's going to create the game plan and determine what he wants to attack, and Bill O'Brien's going to have to execute it.
I think if I look at also important to point out that Vic Fangio said that their first priority on defense was taking away Mike Williams.
Not stopping the run, which I found interesting.
Well, correct. So that played a role in it. If I'm Bill Belichick, I think part of it is since the Dolphins have much more explosiveness, I think I want to shorten the game.
Very good point.
So
Touché.
I think I'm going to try to establish the run, throw short. If I can have like 8-9 minute drives, I would love it, as opposed to throwing down the field. And then the big problem that the Patriots are going to have, conversely, an advantage for the Dolphins is that offensive line is just so messed up. Again, I think it's easier to ask a replacement to run block than it is to pass protect, especially against Jalen Phillips and Bradley Chubb. So I think if I were to predict that, I think the New England's going to come out with a run-oriented game plan. Of course, not watch him chucking down the field 50 yards every play, but
you never know what to expect with Bill Belichick.
That's correct.
That's the thing about it.
Correct, but the logic says again they want to shorten the game, and they have limitations on the offensive line because of injuries. So I would expect them to come out very conservative.
All right. Well, that's it for today's All Dolphins podcast. You can check out our work at alldolphins.com. Again, Poupard, what is it?
Free.
All right. Free. You don't have to pay for subscription, and we're providing everything that you usually get in your Dolphins coverage. Columns from me, analysis from Poupard. You get videos. I'm even trying to do my 1st and 10s. That's right, Dolphin fans. I want to recontinue the 1st and 10s. You can find us at the Fans First Sports Network on anywhere you find your podcast sites under Miami Dolphins Insiders for now. And obviously we need you to like, subscribe, tell a friend, hit the little thumbs up button. We appreciate it because it definitely helps us continue to build what we're building here. So on that note, Poop, see you tomorrow.
And I echo everything Omar said. See you guys tomorrow.